Hello again, I am Blunty, and as I record these words, we are less than 33 hours away from the PC launch of Monster Hunter Wilds, and a little less than that for console players, at least in my time zone. Shame we can't all jump on board at the exact same time and truly set fire to the multiplayer server infrastructure, but hey, release scheduling for local time zones is almost always a mushy thing between consoles and Steam, isn't it? We'll live. I mean, it's a small price to pay for playing the best looking version of the game, isn't it? Haha, bait. But there's one last thing. Sorry, made myself laugh. There's one last thing I wanted to have a chat about when it comes to pre-release coverage of this game, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what I talked about yesterday. One of the things many reviewers had in common when marking off the negatives, alongside the difficult thing we covered yesterday, and that is playtime. The number most commonly being kicked around by players after hearing it in reviews, and correct me if I'm confused on this, but I'm pretty sure it was IGN's review who specifically mentioned this number. A number of people have latched onto and are repeating everywhere I'm looking. But apparently, the campaign is a mere 15 hours long. Just 15 hours, let's say. That is specifically from opening cinematic to credits roll. That's a 15-hour long experience. Now, let's be super clear about this before we dig in further. It's my understanding that that experience in Wilds consists of solely the low-rank hunts, an actual fraction of the quote-unquote real game content. It's more or less an extended tutorial, really, that works to get you grounded in all the game's core mechanics, its flow, provide you with some story and lore context for the hunting going on, provide some contextual world-building stuff for the new monsters and any new mechanics going alongside that. That kind of thing, you know. But I keep seeing this 15 hours number posted in forums and whatnot, and people whining loudly about that being really short and not really good enough. But guess what? It's another really disingenuous bit of crap that's being spread by idiots, without fact-checking themselves, tourists and trolls. And the truth of the matter is, it's a very long way from this. But that 15-hour thing keeps popping up over and over again. And much like the generationally cyclical arguments about difficulty that we spoke about and broke down yesterday, weird complaints that keep happening on every new game's launch with no memory of what came before, I feel this is another one that so-called veterans are having massive memory holes over, because the story portions of the last, at least pair of games, you know, when most players came on board with the series, at least in the Western context, they weren't exactly epic poems of Homer's Odyssey either. In fact, to prove my point here in a very crisp way, I want to take you back to 2022 for a moment. December the 30th, 2022, in fact, 22 days or so before Monster Hunter Rise was set to launch its ports for both Xbox and PlayStation, having already launched on Switch and PC. I'd been recording some fresh gameplay for videos I was planning to make for new players coming on board, some, guides and hits and tips and stuff like that for people coming on board with the big boy consoles, and well, I'll let 2022 Blunty explain it to you. So, we're doing a nude run in Monster Hunter Rise this morning as we come closer and closer to the launch of Rise on the consoles, Xbox and PlayStation that is. I was doing some stuff with the character, burning through some of the early game just to get recordings of some of the stuff that happens in early game so I can use that for reference, yada 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 yada. And I wasn't upgrading my armor as I went, and it was still pretty easy to get through all the village quests without upgrading any armor. I mean, I was making armor sets, but I wasn't upgrading anything, so my defense was still quite low. So, I thought, well, let's find out just how better skilled I am than when I started this game, because I definitely needed to upgrade my armor the first time I played this game, as I was learning it. But now I've got a couple of thousand hours in the game. How far in the game can I get without any armor at all? We're going to find out. So that was the thought process, that was the gimmick we were doing, and it took 5.5 hours. Again, it took just 5.5 hours to roll credits in Rise under those conditions. It, much like Wilds, does so, that is roll the credits, when you complete the journey through the low-rank quests. Rise, they were called the Village quests. And again, I did this in quote-unquote hard mode, without any armor at all, using whatever weapons I happened to have the parts to craft from basically just beelining through the core quests, the required key quests. I don't think I did any side questing in this playthrough. And that is kind of more or less what most Wilds reviewers admitted to doing, save the naked part, just beelining through the base game, doing what was required to progress and nothing more, not stopping to do much, if any, optional side quests, and not repeating hunts to grind out materials to craft new armor or upgrade existing armor, more than the absolute basics they felt like they needed to do. Also, they could get to the late and possibly end game content as time efficiently as they can, so they could do their job of reviewing the game in the relatively small window of time they had. That's a very normal flow for when you're reviewing a game under early access first mover embargo deadlines. But, as everyone who has played it knows, when Rise rolled credits, it wasn't actually the end of the game at all. Hell, in Rise's case, it wasn't even the end of the story, really. But it was at the end of the low-rank journey, just like Wilds. At the end of 2023, I did a very relaxed replaythrough of Monster Hunter World. No gimmick this time, just a very standard playthrough, mainly because I'd never streamed a full normal playthrough of World before. I'd never had that experience on stream of sharing that with the viewers. So I just decided to do, a normal playthrough. And from character creation to credits roll, without beelining, with plenty of grinding for crafting and doing optional side quests and taking it all very calmly and enjoying the complete experience. I'm not trying to speedrun it here, I'm just trying to do a regular old playthrough and have fun. It still only took less than 18 hours to roll credits. And as a reminder, the credits for World happen deep into high rank. In fact, you're at high rank level 9 quests before you roll credits. And you have fought several Elder Dragons before the credits roll. So it's a much, much bigger journey than Rise had to its weirdly placed credits roll, and a much more full experience than what Wilds does, rolling credits at the end of low rank instead. So when we look at that very casually paced playthrough of Worlds, call it 18 hours flat, just for convenience, and compare that to Wilds' alleged, say, 16-hour playtime, according to this new article from IGN, published just 2 hours before I started writing this script, and I really don't think it would be fair to call Wilds' story mode short. In fact, let's stick with IGN here for a moment. They're high profile. I mean, they're largely a joke in many circles and memed on extensively, but because of their size, they do get taken seriously by many, many gamers. And of course, they had all kinds of exclusive access and special content runs last month while working directly with Capcom, so we probably should take them reasonably seriously, right? So this IGN person claims it was a 20-hour run to the initial credits, while they took a little more time, did some side quests, and engaging with non-critical path content. And again, that's just low rank, let's keep in mind. 20-hour run through low rank. Same person also claims it was a 15-hour experience, but with the qualifier that 15 hours specifically was high rank content. So we'll call that 35 hours from starting the game to polishing off the last high rank quest. And they also note they now have a total of over 70 hours in the game in general, so that would include all the other content, probably going back for some side quests and doing the end game content, the temperate stuff and whatnot. This IGN employee claims 20 hours to run the credits, mostly mainlining, with a small amount of crafting and grinding for a pair of armor sets, and notes that after 65 hours they're still not nearly out of things to do, and of course, as was the case in past games, the credits are not in any way the actual end of the game. Not even close. So, even just from one outlet and a couple of its employees, we pretty safely bet that most players will have a gameplay experience to credits roughly the same, if not slightly longer, than Worlds. Depending on how they play, of course. My own personal playthrough is probably going to be a bit longer because I'm putting in place some extra challenge rules to help me draw it out so I can have a nice, deep, lengthy experience my first time through. I don't want to rush it. I want to take my time. So yeah, don't let people trick you into thinking Wilds is short on content by quoting this 15-hour number at you. Because another reminder, this is the game at its most svelte condition, its launch condition. This is the smallest the game will ever feel. Because here's another reminder for you. My own relaxed 18-hour to credits world playthrough, that was with all the additional content and title update monsters that were added after launch. Like more than a year's worth of additional content. World's launch state would have been much smaller still, of course. And as for Wilds, frankly, kind of silly feeling 5 hours to credits run, totally nude, doing key quests only, well, that level of content to credits didn't stop my main save file from racking up literally 1,000 hours in base game Monster Hunter Rise before the Sunbreak expansion even hit. So, how about we don't whine about the supposed length of Wilds just yet, huh? How's that for a deal? Deal? Deal. Thank you for watching. I am Blunty. I will catch you next time. And thank you as always to the patrons scrolling away up above there. Might have one more video before launch. I'm still tinkering with it. But otherwise, I hopefully see you on stream. And I will be co-streaming over on Twitch, where I usually do streaming, and here as well. So, yeah, come hang out.